Hello and welcome to SNL Sucks. I'm your host, Fred Garvin. This is the podcast where we take a constructive criticism, critique look at Saturday Night Live. And why? Because I love Saturday Night Live. I want it to be great. And being in a sketch comedy group myself for many years, details at snlsucks.com, I think I can help. Anyway, the show opened with a Ted Cruz ad. It was decent, not great, not a great start to the show. It was a little kind of nice that he told the truth, how unlikable he was. Kate came out as his child, who we've seen on various YouTube things where she doesn't want to be kissed by him. That's kind of funny. Of course, that's, I guess, a lot of kids, but I think there's a lot more on the line when your dad is a presidential candidate. It was okay. Another good point was Ted Cruz's maniacal laugh. Even though he may have never done it in public, it's kind of like George Bush's "not gonna do it." He maybe never said that either, but that's okay. You know, and Gerald Ford falling, I think he did it once, but hopefully we won't be seeing a lot of Ted Cruz after 2016. An okay opening, not great. Could have been better. Come on, you got Larry David. Okay, Larry David's opening monologue. He came out, and it was actually just him. No wacky characters or anything. Of course, it is Larry David, so he doesn't need the help of like a Ronda Rousey needs. He just did stand-up. Purely stand-up. I liked that it was different. Didn't end up in a song and dance. He just went off on a whole bunch of various topics. I guess as far as the show, I liked his not setting expectations high, which really plays into his character or his real life persona. Didn't want to get too excited. He didn't know if the show was going to be good, so he didn't want to say it would be a great show. But a good opening. He's good at stand-up. So I think this could be a good show if Larry David has a lot of input. We'll see. Okay, first sketch was a firearms training session. I thought with all the controversy of police officers shooting people that it would be a sketch about that, maybe something controversial, but it wasn't. It was Cecily was a instructor, and I really didn't like her character. It was so boilerplate. She's got other characters I'm sure she could have done to be the tough woman cop. I think if I was the director, I would have had her tweak that. It was interesting that they did kind of a shooting thing where you had to determine if somebody was a threat and shoot them, or if they were innocent and not shoot them. So they had people come from behind doors and say something like an old grandmother or a robber, you know, and you see the robber, you shoot the robber. Then they had a Kevin Roberts come up, and the guy shot him. And I said, oh, this is going to be good because he's not only making a judgment on whether they're a danger or not, but if they're annoying, which could actually have been a funnier sketch, I think, in my opinion. But it wasn't. I mean, he shot him the first time. The second time he didn't shoot him. Then it was just kind of going off an annoying guy. It didn't seem to have a lot of focus. But at least at the end, it did have an ending. Not a great ending, but it had an ending that tried to tie things up. The coincidental ending, if you will. So, meh, not a good sketch. Okay, up next was the Burn Your Enthusiasm, a juxtaposition of Bernie Sanders in the Curb Your Enthusiasm role, usually played by Larry David, with Jeff and Susie. And go out of your way to see this if you have not. This was fantastic. They hit every little nuance of Curb Your Enthusiasm with Bernie Sanders. It was great, great, great. Love it. Love it. See it. Study it. Learn it. Watch it again. Laugh. Perfect. Up next, we had the sinking boat sketch, the old Women and Children First, with Larry David being the guy kind of questioning if the child was actually a child, and if a woman was fit to get on the boat because she might be menopausal, or premenopausal, sorry. Good premise. With I like the water. I'm a sucker for offstage water being thrown on someone and knocking off their hat and them breaking a little bit of a smile because it's water, and then soldiering on in the sketch. Then Bernie Sanders came out, and it was great. He's actually very good. He didn't do a lot, but he said his lines great, and he was funny, and it was a good sketch. Decent ending. They hit land, so they didn't have to panic anymore. And I really liked Keenan doing a different character. He was serious and not smiling the whole time. A little, but not smiling the whole time. Shouldn't be smiling at all. People have their lives in danger, but it's this was good. This was good. Next was a Totino's pizza roll commercial. Bunch of guys watching The Big Game, which is tomorrow, and Vanessa being the wife of one of them, making the pizza rolls for the men. The men were cheering the game, and it just got progressively a little weirder. Like their cheering was became the same each time they did it, and she picked up on that, and it just got a little stranger. She got worried what was going on. They had the dark eyes, and then quick ending to it was a promo for an upcoming X-Files, which just restarted. So, decent. It was pre-taped, and a little weird. I guess that's okay. Wasn't too long. Could have been shorter, but I say that about everything. Up next was Weekend Update, and the news portion was good. Good jokes. My problem is with the guests. 3 guests, or 3 segments with guests. Kate as a sturdy Barbie. Decent. Then Patrick Swayze. Dance thing came up. They had to go into Time of My Life with a dance and pantomiming lots of things. And I don't know. It's such an old reference. It really is. Dirty Dancing. It's such an old reference. Then the Zoolander guys came out, which made them look like a new reference, although there's a new movie. But the time spent on the special guests were so much more than the news. and I think they should be, at the very least, the same amount of time as the news. Actually, less. Well, I don't know. Too much on the special guests. Too much. Way too much. Next was the songwriting class sketch. This was bad. It was a guy trying to teach a class in songwriting to 5 people. Decent character, but the whole premise was he couldn't get one guy to think of a rhyme, a very obvious rhyme in a song. Like he'd sing the whole song, or one line and then another line, and leave out the last word, which was obviously supposed to rhyme, and it was obvious what the word was supposed to be, but Larry David just kept saying the wrong word, and then it became phrases, and then really nonsensical nothingness. It's not a funny concept, and it went nowhere. It's like somebody was somewhere and somebody just was speaking nonsense, and somebody said, that was really funny. Let's write a sketch. Oh, what's it about? Well, it's about somebody speaking nonsense because that's funny. Oh, what's the context? Well, how about we've been wanting to do a songwriting workshop sketch in a long time. Let's put it in there. Okay, somebody's trying to learn songwriting, and they start speaking nonsense. That's great. And then at the end, they think they've got it, and then they pick up a guitar and start playing and singing nonsense, and then we'll end it. It'll be brilliant. This is a sketch that my group would have never performed. I don't even know if we would have read it. We would have read it to ourselves, and we probably would have not read it out loud. Not even get that far. Not even like, well, let's read it out loud and see if it's funny. There was nothing. There was nothing to this, except some wigs and a couple funny characters. That was it. Next was a Ebony and Ivory singing sketch with the 2 quarterbacks that are playing in the big game the next day. Cam Newton and the guy with Denver, not Jen Elway. Peyton Manning, yes. And they're just kind of singing along on how it's different to be a white quarterback and a black quarterback. Kind of interesting how it's harder to be a black quarterback and there's not as many of them. Not bad. And then at the end, Cam Newton was accosted by the police, but here's where it needed directing, because the police came out and just kind of stood on either side of him and said, we're taking you in. And they didn't do anything physical. Not that they have to, I don't want them to pull a nightstick on him or put him on the ground and kick him, but they should at least grabbed his hands and held him behind his back. Maybe they were afraid. I can't imagine that. But I don't know. Could have used some more direction. Decent concept. Okay performances. I'll give it a meh. And the final sketch was Larry David and Kate in a bar. Actually, 2 really good characters. Larry David was kind of the late-night bar guy, mustache, hair, chewing gum. Kate was a good, crazy, drunk lady. Kate had some really good lines. really good lines. And that's all I'm going to say that's good about this. Now it was bad. They kind of, were talking. They made out for a while. And then Kate was kissing Larry David's head. And the bartender Keenan just kind of... Why is Keenan in every sketch? Why is Keenan in every sketch? They have other men. And then Keenan just kind of put police tape around the bar, surrounding them also. It had absolutely no ending. It had no progression. It had no point. It was just two characters saying funny lines, making out, which I'm sure a lot of people go, oh, that was really funny to see them making out, because Larry David had lipstick all over his mouth. Well, I guess that's funny, but so is, the monkey picking a booger and eating it, or picking his butt and falling off the log. That's not a sketch. I don't know. This was not a sketch. And that was the end of the show. Only two really good things in the whole show. And that's pretty much it. One really good piece, pre-recorded, and the rest just lacking in the writing, lacking in directing. And that's my wrap-up. I'm Fred Garvin. Website, snlsucks.com.
But my father is rich. I come from a wealthy family. Technically, my life is worth more than all of yours put together, especially these women and midgets. So if it's all the same to you, I'm gonna pop down in that lifeboat.
Hold on, wait a second. So sick of the 1% getting this preferential treatment. Enough is enough. We need to unite and work together if we're all going to get through this.
Sounds like socialism to me.
Democratic socialism.
What's the difference?
Huge difference.
Huge?
Huge.
Huge with a Y, eh? Who are you?
I am Bernie Sanders Witzke.